During the mid-1800s, baseball was becoming more and more popular throughout the United States. Due to slavery and the racial segregation that would continue after slavery, African Americans were not allowed to be a part of minor or major league baseball teams. African American players began to create teams, but it wasn't until 1887 that the creation of the first Negro League was recognized. The National Colored Baseball League was the first predominantly African American baseball league. It was a minor league that consisted of 6 different teams. More Negro leagues would come to be created during the late 1800s and early 1900s. The Negro National League was created in 1920 that originally had 8 different teams, such as better-known teams like the St. Louis Giants and the Kansas City Monarchs. Although the culture of American segregation didn't allow African Americans to play on white major league teams, African American players made it possible for themselves to play baseball. It was during the same time period of the early 1900s that a young man named Jackie Robinson had began to make a name for himself in the world of athletics. Jackie Robinson grew up in Pasadena, California. He was the youngest of 5 children who were raised solely by his mother because his dad had left his family when he was just a baby. Jackie grew up with little money, and although his family didn't live in the South, they faced racism every day. The culture that followed slavery into the 20th century was something that had a great influence on people like Jackie as he grew up. Jackie attended John Muir High School. It was here that his older brothers Mac and Frank convinced him to pursue his career in sports. During high school, Jackie played baseball, football, basketball, track, and tennis at the varsity level. After high school, Jackie attended Pasadena Junior College, where he continued to play baseball, football, basketball, and track. After his older brother Frank was killed in a motorcycle accident, Jackie decided to continue to pursue his athletic goals at the University of California, Los Angeles, where he could be closer to Frank's family. In 1939, Jackie transferred to UCLA, where he became the first athlete to win varsity letters in 4 different sports. In 1941, he was put on the All-American football team, but due to financial difficulties, he was forced to leave college, and eventually decided to enlist in the U.S. Army. After 2 years in the Army, he had progressed to second lieutenant. Unfortunately, Jackie's Army career was cut short when he was court-martialed in relation to his objections during an incident where an officer told Jackie to sit back at the back of the bus even though he was not required to. Jackie ended up leaving the Army with an honorable discharge just because he fought back against racial discrimination. In 1945, Jackie received a letter from the Kansas City Monarchs offering him a position to play professional baseball in the Negro Leagues. He accepted the offer and signed a contract to be paid $400 a month. Although Jackie loved being able to play baseball at this level, he became frustrated with the disorganization of the Negro Leagues. He was used to the structured organization he had been a part of in college. Robinson ended up playing 47 games for the Monarchs as well as playing in the 1945 Negro League All-Star Game. It was at the same time that a man named Branch Rickey, the club president and general manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers, had began to scout Negro Leagues with the intent of finding African American players to add to their roster. Rickey picked Jackie from a list of possible African American players and interviewed him on August 28, 1945, regarding his ability to deal with the racism that Jackie could possibly face. Jackie asked, "Are you looking for a Negro that is afraid to fight back?" Rickey responded that they needed a Negro player with enough guts to not fight back. Rickey was signed to the all-white Montreal Royals, a farm team for the Brooklyn Dodgers, in 1946. He signed a contract to make $600 a month and moved to Daytona Beach, Florida, where he would train with the Royals. The Montreal Royals were a Class AAA International League, the highest level of any minor league. It was noted that Clay Hooper, the manager of the Royals, asked Rickey to put Jackie on any other Dodger-affiliated team, but Rickey refused. Living in Florida, Jackie faced large amounts of racism. Jackie was not allowed to stay in the same hotels as his teammates, and many local areas used for training and playing games would not allow the Royals to use their facilities as long as Jackie was on the team. Jackie went on to have a very impressive season for the Royals and was in fact named the league's most valuable player. Jackie's presence on the field also went on to have big economic effects on the business of the minor leagues. Jackie brought a rise in attendance at games to a fan base that supported what he was doing. More than 1 million people went to the games involving Jackie in 1946, which was a huge number when looking at International League standards. In 1947, 6 days before the beginning of the season, the Brooklyn Dodgers called up Robinson to play in the Major League. On April 15, 1947, Jackie Robinson made his debut as a first baseman on Ebbets Field as the first African American to play in the Major League. When Jackie first wore his Brooklyn Dodger uniform, he pioneered the integration of professional athletics in America. By breaking the color barrier in baseball, the nation's preeminent sport, he courageously challenged the deeply rooted custom of racial segregation in both the North and the South. Jackie's ability as a baseball player made it easy for him to transition to the major leagues when it came to the competition on the field. Jackie batted .395 over his first 10 games on the Brooklyn Dodgers, while he faced racism and hostility as he traveled to different towns to play. Jackie had to be strong to overcome the racism he would face, especially in places in the South, where he would receive violent and even death threats. On one occasion, a group called the Travelers wrote a letter to Jackie claiming they were going to kill him if he attempted to play a game at Crosley Field in Cincinnati. Jackie also faced problems like receiving racist remarks and threats from other players and managers, like on April 22, 1947, Ben Chapman, the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies, during a game told Jackie that he should go back to the cotton fields. But Jackie was strong enough to know that he should be the bigger man and not fight back. Jackie ended up having a very successful season and won the Rookie of the Year award. Jackie's strength as an individual helped him become the first African American to play in the MLB. He also paved the way for other African Americans to play not only baseball but other sports as well. With the new introduction of an African American player to the Dodgers, a new wave of African American fans and supporters of Jackie Robinson brought 1.8 million fans to attendance at Ebbets Field, the most ever for that time. Owners of other teams began to recognize how good the integration of African American players to their teams could be for business. After a little while, other sports major leagues such as the NFL and NBA began to allow African American players onto their rosters. Jackie was a huge part of the economic boom that came to sports teams that began to integrate blacks and whites onto their teams. With more African Americans playing on professional sports teams, people began to give more respect not only to African American athletes, but also to African American people. Along with this, as more African Americans began to play on teams in the minor and major leagues, they were sent to live in many different communities, which helped establish in many places that a change was occurring. Jackie Robinson had an effect on the economy and business of professional athletics while also dedicating his life to a cultural change that was the integration of blacks and whites not only in sports but also in life. Jackie Robinson was quoted as saying, "There's not an American in this country that is free until every one of us is free," showing that Jackie Robinson was not only an athlete to influence the direction of sports, and he was not only an athlete to influence the direction of life, but he was a man that was able to accomplish both.
Of a river that flowed made me sad to think it was dead. You see, I've been